I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
He is terrible!
We gotta know how many wieners are going down these big stones.
I want to go quick because I don't give a fuck about anything that's going to happen on Saturday.
Hello, Wes. It's only me and you this week. Jay's enjoying himself. Hopefully not getting eaten by alligators. But yeah, we're back. It was an exciting weekend. 3 title fights, UFC 245. Christmas coming up. It's a good time of the year. How are you doing?
Yeah, hanging in there. I think last message we got of Jay was somewhere in North Carolina, and haven't heard from the Sean Carey man in probably about a year. So there's no telling. He might have drugged Jay from the up into the hills and
took him back and recreating The Hills Have Eyes or what?
Yeah, there's no telling what's going on up there, but yeah. Hopefully Jay's having fun on a West-like road trip. So
crazy people that don't like to fly, they'd rather just drive down. I do that. I do too much driving as it is with work. I'll fly anywhere, anytime. Do you see the Theo Vaughn Bryce Mitchell clip talking about flying?
Yeah, man. Look, I hate that my dude went full Trumpian after that fight, because the kid's pretty funny. Like I like him. I don't want to keep liking him, but I kind of do, man. He's pretty damn funny. He's like what they would show overseas, though, of like the typical American, you know what I'm saying? Yep. Which probably isn't good.
Which terrifies the fuck out of people in other parts of the world.
Yeah, as it probably should when you're talking like that. But it's funny stuff if you can take it as a joke. I can get where it would probably rub some people the wrong way, but shockingly, probably unshockingly, that's how a lot of it's kind of how a lot of people talk down in the South.
Beautiful. Before we get into 245, there was some kind of news out of left field. All of a sudden this week comes out that Rory MacDonald has signed with PFL. I don't think anybody knew that he was a free agent or anything like that. Kind of interesting. Supposedly PFL's trying to pick up some bigger name guys, which I don't know how the hell they can afford them with 30 people showing up to their live events, but I guess that's beside the point. What are your thoughts on Rory going to PFL? I know some people think that he's just going there and going to collect a check, but I'm not so sure.
Well, I mean, even if he does, what the fuck is that, like, stupid or something? Like, they're giving away $1 million checks from some kind of fantasy land fucking money that I guess that ESPN deal was just a gold mine. I don't understand it, but yeah, I mean, I was seeing some of their ticket numbers, and they had like 900 paid, 4,000 comp, some shit like that. It was like sakes, it was like bad stuff. Like they're barely selling tickets, but apparently the ESPN deal is enough for them. I don't know where the rest of the money comes from, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what Rory was making in Bellator. I'm sure it was a pretty good, pretty good amount. But yep. I mean, those checks are apparently cashing at PFL. Like I know after the first one, a lot of people were like, "There's no way those checks are going to cash," and they are. Those checks are cashing. So yeah, I mean, more power to him. Maybe he can go down there and whoop up on some of the lower level 170ers. I think they got. I'm trying to remember their roster. I didn't look it up offhand. But they're gonna have to sign some more names to probably keep Rory from getting really close to $1 million check, and I can't hate him for that, man. The more shocking thing to me was not that he left Bellator or anything, that he's still fighting. To me, I thought he was probably done. The way he was talking and stuff after losing that belt, I really didn't know if we was going to see Rory again. If we did, it was probably going to be in Bellator. But yeah, more power to him, man. That's some legit cash down there. There's not a lot of places handing out money like that in MMA. I mean, even Kobe running around being a racist fuck for a few years, he still only got what champs pretty much get, and that's $500,000 in the UFC. So, yeah, I guess it's a good business move. We'll see if it's, if it pays off. Like I said, I'm not sure what is their 170 roster. Did you look up and see?
Well, like the guys that are kind of a little more known are like Ray Cooper, third or whatever. But the guy that won the season 2,
is it the Argentinian dude?
No, he's Russian. He's got like the same last name, first name, shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then Kapoza said that there's another guy that's supposedly another Russian beast that not many people know is going to be fighting in this season. So I feel like it's going to be one of those things where you got a guy going to we'll say a lesser organization, and all of a sudden he goes up against these kind of a lot lesser known guys, and they're tough matchups. We kind of saw it with Eddie Alvarez going to 1. I'll be on the lookout to see kind of who he gets matched up with, because I'm all about fading Rory. I've made some good ass money fading him against Gegard and against Lima.
Big money.
And I don't think that's gonna stop. So
I'm trying to look. They just announced the finalists just a couple of days ago. I was trying to look and see who was fighting for the 170. I know they had a bunch of problems with drug tests and shit on this card, and so I don't know. Some got like rearranged, but yeah, I hear you, man. I would think they're gonna give him like a favorable way, beginning to that tournament. They want him to move through, I would think.
Yeah.
But yeah, once it gets a little bit, further along, yeah, I mean, Rory's absolutely been a hell of a fade. He's almost like, how we was looking at the Mike Perry fight this week. His nose has been destroyed for like a few years now. You know what I'm saying? So there's just there's a lot of things to like about Fade and Rory at this point. Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I think they ease him into that tournament though. They want him to move in it.
I mean, I felt like Bellator did that with John Fitch, and look how that ended up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some guys are just completely shy. Yeah, it's just
the welterweight champion is Magomed Karamov.
Yeah,
that's the guy that destroyed some people.
Yeah, he destroys Rory at this point.
So I don't know. With Rory's name, maybe we'll get a cheap price and we'll be able to cash on that.
Mm-hmm. There's actually been some good spots on PFL if you can find them. Like they'll have really, really huge faves, but then they'll have some more closely tight line fights at around 2-1 dogs, and those win a little bit in PFL.
Yes, sir. Some other news that I know excited you. I'm sure your pants were flying across the room when it was announced that the Hawg, Francis Ngannou, will be taking on Yarinzo Rozenstruik to headline UFC Columbus, which is happening. When is it? End of March, I believe.
Yeah. That's the only bad thing.
Yeah, March 28th in Columbus. Supposedly that's not too far of a drive for you. You might see the Hawg in the flesh. What's the deal, Wes?
Oh, it's happening, and apparently I got some I got some people that listen to us talk bullshit every week that live up in Ohio. So,
Shit.
yeah, a few hours away. I gotta go see the Hawg now. It being on the weekend of March 28th, I believe that's Final Four weekend, which is like
come on.
It's like really, really bad, but I don't. After last night, I think I'm gonna be good.
You might not have to worry about it.
Actually, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have to worry about that whatsoever. So I think it's gonna work out pretty good. That's a hell of a main event, man. It's like a fight night card too, I believe. So that's a hell of a main event. I believe Garbrandt's on that card. They announced another
Garbrandt versus a Sunsow?
Yeah, that's on the card, and somebody else I believe was already announced for it too, but it's shaping up to be a really nice card up there.
Especially for a fight night.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's actually a good main event. I think it's gonna be a one-way traffic and a bad beatdown at this point. I don't like it for Rozenstruik, who's a guy that I actually really like at heavyweight, man. I think this might be a little bit too much too soon, but yeah, I got to go up there and see my boy in the flesh.
Do you want me to know you, Wes? What do I do every week? So one of my books that's probably based in Russia released the line before it came out on the old American and Maine offshore books. Take a guess what I got for a price on Haganu.
Minus 160.
Minus 161.
I was saying it just enough so I would be annoyed but not pissed off, and I hit it pretty much right on the head. It's still good. That's really good. He's gonna knock out Rozenstruik at this point, man. Like I don't know how Reem didn't knock him out, to be honest. Like Reem hit him with a ton of shit. You know what I'm saying? If he gets hit by Hawg by a fucking small portion of the shit that Reem put on him, he's in trouble, man.
Yeah, we'll see. It is heavyweights and stupid shit happens, so you can't put too many eggs in one basket. But,
and he's not bad. He's
good. I mean, he's good considering he's a kickboxer. Like, I don't know how long he's actually been training MMA, but that's good stuff, man. I guess that pretty much does it for news and notes or anything that excites us anyway of recent talk. Would you like to enjoy discussing what happened at UFC 245, Wes?
Just a little bit. I got a little bit out that the night of.
Yeah.
But I'm always down to talk about 245 some more.
All right, we'll go through the early prelim cards. Were they actually on Fight Pass or was it all on ESPN Plus for you?
It was all on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, so I don't know. Fucking Wikipedia needs to fix their shit. So, the Punahila Soriano knocks out the Paichode in the very first round. That was a meme-worthy knockout there. It was very, very nice to watch. Jessica I says fuck it and comes in 5 pounds overweight. Because why not?
I'll take that plus money with that plus weight.
Hell yeah. Takes out Viviane Araujo, unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. Bit of a surprising one for me. Brandon Moreno defeats Kai Kara France, 29-28, 29-28, and 30-27. That was a bit of a weird card. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the shitty tamer gets elbowed to oblivion, loses to a kid that can't legally drink in the States. 4.5 minutes into the first round, Chase Hooper TKO. Thoughts on the early prelims, Wes?
Soriano looked good, man. I wasn't really too much sold on that guy. I wanted to see a little bit. I saw a little bit. That was old Pacho definitely had some good memes out there. That's for sure. He'll be known for that. Jessica, I love when somebody says fuck it and misses weight by 5 pounds and they're like plus 160, plus 180 in that range. yeah, that was beautiful. She's still terrible. Like she's not great. But I thought that line was off going in, and then always take 5 pounds in a 125-pound female fight. So Brandon Moreno was great, man. I don't never want to say getting cut's a good thing, but Brandon Moreno probably getting cut and going and fighting some lesser competition for a couple years. He looks much improved, man. Looks like he's still got that motor and that toughness, but with some better skills. The 30-27 scorecard was absolutely atrocious, though, because he didn't win that first round, I believe it was. So,
yep.
Yeah, that's just bad. Even though the right guy won, we can still talk about how bad a scorecard is. That was a really, really bad scorecard. Yeah, Chael Sonnen's Ben Askren's kid, put it on the shitty tamer. I wish I would. I put a small action bet on him right before the fight just for shits. I wish I would have actually bet him for real, because, man, I've faded the shitty tamer so many times, maybe every time, and I didn't really do it here. I really wish I would have, because he's fucking bad, man. His brother must have sucked every bit of talent out of that bloodline, because, yeah, the other one's not good at all. We'll give him props though for staying in that choke and shit. And for he's tough. He's just shitty.
Yeah, he was probably fighting for his UFC life there, and he pushed through that choke, but it definitely wasn't enough. Got to give props to Moreno in a basically straight kickboxing fight, was able to outstrike Kai Kara France, which is what he's known for. So that's very impressive. I didn't bet France, but I expected him to win, and Moreno showed up and was very good. On to the regular preliminary card. We had Matt Brown elbowing a ghost. I didn't think that was possible. I just figured your elbow would go straight through him and just hit the mat, but I guess Ben Saunders' ghost has a little more resistance than what you see on TV. But Matt Brown KO. 5 seconds left in the second round. So washed. Both these guys need to retire, and especially Ben Saunders. Omarion, I know you were on him. Yeah. Takes out Ian Heinisch. Ian Heinisch, I don't know if it's just matchups he's good in. I don't know how he kind of got an inflated line, or inflated just sense of how good he is, but he was pretty easily, well, not easily beaten, but it was a pretty good showing by Omarion. What I like to see after that, Irene Aldana just flatlining Ketlin Vieira, especially when I'm not taking any overs or goes the decision. You see a chick getting flatlined in the first round, and I quite enjoy that. And then the prelim main event, I guess if you want to call it, Jeff Neal does what we both expected him to do and destroyed Mike Perry. Pissed at myself for not throwing even more on him at his line after I got the opener, but we'll take it and go. Thoughts on these, Wes?
Yeah, man, Ben Saunders is just that dude's he's gonna have problems, man.
It is not worth it.
It's not, dude. He's gonna have problems whenever Matt Brown, and I also think Matt Brown he probably should call it too. Go off on a good win like that, dude. But whenever he even touched Ben Saunders with anything of significance, man, Ben Saunders looked just out of it. And yeah, that on the mat, I mean, he landed a couple good things, but I mean, the first one, you could see Saunders was just completely out of it, man. That dude's brain is fucking jello at this point. It's not gonna be good, man. I don't. Omarion's he's decent. The bet on here for me was more of a fade of Ian Heinisch. I don't get the love, man. I saw a lot of people picking him in this fight, man. I thought he's been down in a couple of his fights, and he showed a little toughness and some and some cardio and outlasted a couple guys in the third round and won some fights. But any kind of guy like Akhmedov has a gas tank himself and keeps it a high tempo fight like he did. Man, Heinisch was gassing in the third. I don't think he's that good, man. And then Aldana, that's about as good as it gets for a chicks fight, man. That was fucking awesome. It's pretty wild too, because Vieira it's been kind of hyped, man. She's gotten a little hype, and that's done. I think Aldana might be a little bit underrated in the division, right? Like, she always seems to be kind of a slight dog against some of these chicks, and she wins some of the fights, man. But that was a hell of a finish. And then, Jeff Neal, I thought was probably the best bet on the card, man. At around 2-1, I think he was. He might even closed right around there. Jeff Neal by KO was like -120 or something, man. That's crazy. I had a little bit on that. I wish I would have put it as much as I could on that. That's exactly how I saw this fight going, man. I didn't really think it would be that quick and that brutal. But man, Neal's impressive, man. That guy's really good. Mike Perry was about the perfect matchup for him. Don't get me wrong, but I think Neal's pretty good, man. That guy's got some real skills down at 170, and dude, he hits like a fucking truck. He's a problem in that division. I like Jeff Neal a lot. Mike Perry is just about the same guy that I've said he is for the past 2 or 3 years, where he's getting all this hype, man. That dude is a barroom brawler that's got a decent chin and throws bungalows. He's not skilled in any particular way, man. Guys with the talent of Jeff Neal are gonna smoke him every single time. I'll watch Mike Perry fights, though. They can bring him back. I'm happy with that. I'll bet against Mike Perry every single time you give him guys even close to Jeff Neal.
Bit of breaking news before we go on to the main card, which will actually kind of affect what we talk about on the main card. Henry Cejudo is no longer the flyweight champion. They have stripped him, and Davison Figueiredo is taking on Joseph Benavidez at UFC Norfolk.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Joe B finally gets another chance to become a UFC champion.
I think Joe B might end up being a UFC champion.
It's a fun fight. We've seen kind of the limitations of Figueiredo. But he definitely looked good against Pantoja, but I think those limitations might still be there, and so Joe B's got a good game plan, or a good video to look at to figure out his game plan. But yeah, it'll be fun, and I guess that means Cejudo is keeping the bantamweight belt, which I guess we'll be talking about who he will be facing next right away. To start off the pay-per-view, this was a beautiful fight, pretty one-sided, but the old man, I think, held his own in there. Peter Yan, KO head kick, 43 seconds into the third round. Faber did a lot better than I thought he would, but Peter Yan is the truth.
Yeah, that guy's he's unbelievable, man. First, I will talk about Faber though. Props to Faber. That guy put up a really good fight, man, and kind of talked about it fight night. Where a lot of guys get to Faber's age and stuff, and they look so horrible and stuff. Faber seems to have still kind of held on to some of his speed, which is very rare, a guy his size and his age. And a bigger thing, I think Faber's held on to his belief that he's a great fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of guys are walking in there fighting the Peter Yans of the world this late in their career, and they probably don't have the full belief that they're going to beat them. They just want to compete. You know what I'm saying? They just want to stay in it, make it competitive. I honestly believe Faber walked in that fight thinking he was going to beat Peter Yan, and just a lot of guys don't have that. he looked pretty good, man. I thought Faber did very well for himself against a guy that's, man, he's right there at the top. Maybe there's a couple guys that you can argue, maybe one. Like I think Aljo is a matchup problem for a lot of guys in that division, Peter Yan included. But if Peter Yan fights more like he fought this fight and not how he fought, like, say, Jimmy Rivera, you could see Peter Yan in this fight was much more controlled, picked his spots, and then when they were there, absolutely turned it on and through the volume and speed that he usually does. It was impressive, man. Even against old man Faber, that was an impressive performance from Peter Yan. And there's just some mouth-watering matchups at the top of that division. I don't know how you could not like the quote-unquote little guys, because they're absolutely badass. I mean, and then, we can't forget, we'll talk about in the next fight, there's two more guys in this division. One that's kind of shockingly maybe has a shot up there, but we'll talk about it. But yeah, Peter Yan is the absolute truth, man. That guy's he's arguably up there with the, being the best guy in this division, and he's going to fight for a title shot maybe next.
We stay at bantamweight. Marlon Moraes possibly defeats Jose Aldo by decision, split decision, 29-28, 29-28, 28-29. I think you had Aldo winning. I actually gave it to Moraes, but it was very close, and I don't think it's a robbery or anything. I think the third round was close. It just kind of depends on what you like a bit more. Impressive for both guys, I think. It's just impressive that Aldo was able to compete how he did after the brutal weight cut. He kind of looked like old Aldo. His aggressiveness. He didn't
Kicks.
seem like he,
which is shocking.
A couple of them. He still should throw him way more. And I don't know if he has an injury, like just a permanent injury or what it is, but that dude needs to throw more kicks. So yeah, that was impressive. He was ready to risk it, didn't care about getting KO'd. And then Moraes, I think we kind of know his deal. He comes out absolutely firing in the first round, but he was able to do all right in the second and third. He was, even though he was backing up, he was countering pretty decent. Aldo would land, and then he would counter and land a solid one as well. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that Aldo didn't win, just because we've already seen what happened with Moraes and Cejudo, but sounds like it might happen anyway. What are your thoughts on the fight, Wes?
Yeah, I thought Aldo won. I guess I'm a little biased, but I really thought he won. But you're right. It wasn't like some robbery or something like that. It was a close third round. I thought he did more. Moraes was backing up, countering, but Aldo was on the pedal, man. He was walking him down that entire third round. That was impressive for me, man. I thought Aldo had a chance to win, but I didn't see that type of performance. I will say about Moraes, and people that have listened to this show for a while know I'm a huge Moraes fan. I've been on that train for a long, long time. I still think the guy's really good. I thought it was a decent performance this time out, but he's not going to win a title in this division. It's not going to happen. He can't. He's not going to knock any of these. He's not going to knock out Aldo. He's not going to knock out Cejudo. He's not going to knock out Yan. He's got a cardio problem. He was slowing down in the third, though. He was still throwing it. He didn't look as bad as he did against Cejudo, but he's absolutely.
I think that's because he took the second off.
Yep.
Basically.
Yeah, he's absolutely.
But you can't really do in title fights against the elite.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have two more after that third too. There's no way, man. There's rarely, clean knockouts at 135, especially against these 5 or 6 guys here. Moraes isn't going to win a title at 135. I mean, he's going to be a decent out against these guys. There's a lot of good matchups there, but I can't see him going 5 and winning 3 out of 5 against any of these. I mean, Otto would have been on the fucking gas and trucking him by the fourth. Man, but I'm still kind of shocked that Otto put on a performance like that. I know we all, know it's a bad weight cut. I don't think Otto is really cutting a bunch of water and shit though. He literally dropped mass. Like the guy's dropped down. Yeah, he's dropped a lot of mass. So I don't think the cut is that bad. And man, he looked fucking shredded. He still looked like he had some decent muscle mass on him and shit. He was definitely shredded. I don't think this is healthy at all long term whatsoever. But he seems to have cut down, quote unquote, the right way. I guess the best you could in that type of situation. He's literally like, took the weight off in mass instead of just trying to cut it all in water. So, I mean, if that Otto shows up again at 135, I mean, he's definitely a problem for any of those guys, right? I mean, he looked really, really fucking good. I think you might be onto something with maybe having some kind of knee injury or something that's just going to linger for the rest of his, time here on earth, to the reason he doesn't throw consistent leg kicks anymore. But one thing that he does more, he's always had it, in his arsenal, but does it way more now, is that body work, man. Holy shit. Some of the body work he was putting on Moraes was just unbelievable, nasty, man. Yeah, he was doing 2 and 3 punch combos to the body and finishing up top and stuff with some beautiful stuff. I mean, if you're not going to throw those leg kicks, that's about as close as you can get to those leg kicks. So yeah, there's 135 is awesome. That is an awesome division. And yeah, we'll see what Otto does from here. I think Otto is, it's crazy to say, but I think Otto is closer to a 135-pound title than Marlon Moraes will ever be, sadly, because I really like Moraes.
Yeah, and just especially because he already, Moraes already got one, right? And got finished pretty decisively. Yep. Yeah, I guess it's kind of weird. I mean, with now that we know what is next for Cejudo, he seems to be pushing for an Aldo fight, and I get why. I mean, I guess that's the biggest
legend.
name.
Yeah.
It's the biggest name fighter. Aldo's not going to be around for a long time, whereas the rest of the top 5, the other kind of candidates are very young. So I don't like it when they kind of.
I'm fine with that fight. I really am. I'm
yeah,
fine with it.
And with Aljo coming off an injury, it kind of sucks because he's done enough for a title.
Yep.
But these things kind of happen. You get hurt and you have to deal with the consequences. It's not fair, but there's Sterling, Jan, and Sandhagen right there, ready to go. So
just bad because Cejudo if Cejudo would fight 2 or 3 times a year, this wouldn't be a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could fight 2 of those guys next year,
And I guess with stripping him, they're kind of forcing him to right now.
Yep.
Now that flyweight's gone, he's a 135er. So if he beats Aldo, he better be back in there in the next 4 or 5 months. So I guess that's something good to look into.
Because that motherfucker looks like a fucking bag of shit right now. Like, seriously, he looks fucking fat, dude. Like,
yeah, he's a 125er fighting at 135. He doesn't need to look skinny. So yeah, that'll be interesting. We'll see what comes of that. But my guess, with the way that Dana's talking and with Cejudo kind of leaning towards it, we're probably looking at another fighter that's going to get a title shot off a loss. So that's always good times, and I'm sure that'll rile up a bunch of people. Next up, the first of the 3 title fights. I don't think there's too much to say about this one, but Amanda Nunes did what she had to do and exposed Durandame for having a terrible ground game, just like she did last time, and won a very pretty easy decision. Thoughts, Wes?
The only thing I'll touch on quickly is how shit that this fan base is. Like the MMA fan base is such just shit.
They'll turn on you in a second, Wes. If you're not knocking chicks out in the first 3 minutes of a fight, you're garbage.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. It literally within a round they will turn on you. You'll go into a fight and be the greatest thing that's ever lived. And within a round, you're fucking it never was and never has been. Fucking you couldn't beat pro boxers and every fucking thing else. This is an MMA fight, man. Like it's not Amanda Nunez's fault that she can't go in there and like KO a kickboxer in the first round every single time out. And if she can't and decides to take her down and literally dominate her on the mat for fucking 4 rounds, just the MMA fan base is so fucking bad, man. It's such shit. I'm embarrassed to be a part of it a lot of the time. Amanda Nunez is easily hands down the female GOAT. Stop finding reasons to knock her because she's. I'm not even gonna get into a bunch of all that shit. Amanda Nunez is the women's GOAT, and that was a fucking spectacular performance. She absolutely dominated the top ranked chick that everybody said she's some fucking kickboxer gonna knock her out. Whatever. She got dominated. Next.
Yeah, as a person that had money on her, that is what I'm looking for.
A lot. Yeah, I didn't want her standing kickboxing.
Yeah, standing, banging, chance of getting knocked out. Let's just take her down and just be able to stay there the whole damn time because Durandame is a fish on her back. So nothing wrong with that. You can hate her. Hopefully it drives down the line for whatever scrub she fights next.
Minus 300 this time was fucking half the price she should have been. Like that's
Yes,
how much
sir.
people are just looking for a reason. Minus 300. Come on.
Yeah, and I mean like the only way you could play Durandame is I guess in the first or KO, but yeah, it's all Nunes that takedown. It was the same as the first fight, and she almost had her in that first round. She had that arm triangle kind of locked in. There was she went for it, and I think that's kind of why she looked so bad in the second round was because she threw the kitchen at her, and Durandame did a good way of blocking a lot of that stuff, and Amanda Nunes wanted to get out of there, but she couldn't, so then she kind of had to take the second off and look like shit, and then took her down and stayed there. So that is what it is. Bit of a shocker up next. Nothing. I didn't see this one coming, and not the way that it happened.
Nope. Yep.
We have a new champion at featherweight. Crazy to say, Alexander Volkanovski beats Max Holloway 48-47 twice, 50-45. I would probably split the difference. Was my scorecard. Your thoughts, Wes?
Yeah, I thought it was I thought it ended up being a close fight. I did not in any way see Volkanovski beat Max in a 5-round kickboxing match. I did not see that whatsoever. I will admit that. I don't know about a 50-45. I don't know what the fuck people are watching. I thought Max definitely won a couple of the last 3 rounds. I wouldn't have argued, I'm biased, of course. I don't think it'd have been a bad card if Max would have got the last 3 rounds. I get it, but personally, I thought Volkanovski won. So I'm just saying, if somebody would have said I thought Max won the last 3 rounds, I wouldn't have put up a huge argument. I thought Volkanovski won that fight straight up. I thought he got. I know he got the first 2. I can't remember what I gave him out of the last 3, but he got one of the last 3 rounds on my card. Yeah, that was. I mean, I think we've both said it on this show for a year now that Volkanovski was absolutely the guy that had the best shot at beating Max. I didn't think it would be a 5-round kickboxing match that he would beat Max in, but he did. I don't know. Max just needs to do more earlier, man. He can't have these slow starts like this and give away early rounds. You're not going to be able to get guys like Volkanovski and the top of this division and these younger guys coming in. He's just not going to be able to take them out late. I think that's mainly what cost Max was just the slow start. I still think he's the all around, definitely the better striker. He's going to have to start, I would say, not learning how to take them, but learning how to defend in leg kicks more, especially if he's going to if he's going to rematch Volkanovski. That's one thing that he should go to the tape on and figure out a way, because that definitely slowed Max. That the judges, and to their credit, I think scored those highly like they should, and that won Volkanovski the fight. And props to him, man. Volkanovski seems like a really good guy. The dude put in his dues. He fought the fights. He never turned down the fights. He didn't sit on the shelf waiting and stuff. He went out there and performed, and props to Volkanovski. He's the champ, man, and I hope they run it back. That fight was close enough, I think, and both guys could make adjustments, especially Max, to where they could have a very competitive second fight, and I hope they run it right back.
Yeah, very, very impressed with Volkanovski. Max kind of reminds me of Dominic Cruz. Like, he very, very good fighter, but if he doesn't start quick, he kind of gets himself in trouble because he just doesn't have that fight-changing power. So he has to do it strictly on volume. And if you fight a guy that can kind of keep the pace and somewhat keep the amount of strikes that you're throwing, it doesn't snowball like he does against other fighters, like how he kind of did against Aldo. So it's a bit tough, but I think, like you said, Max is talented enough. I think he can make adjustments, and I think it's going to be a hell of a rematch. Hopefully they do it right away. I think that's something that they could do for an Australia pay-per-view card. Usually they huge. Usually they have one of those a year. That would be a good match to have
or
on
get
that
to
one.
Hawaii eventually. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. But yeah, just impressed with Volkanovski. The leg kicks. We've kind of always talked that if you're gonna fight Max, you need to slow him down somehow. The leg kicks are a way to do it, and that's why we were kind of always frustrated with how Aldo fought him and not throwing leg kicks.
And with the game plan was always there, wasn't it? Like
it was. It's just there. Nobody could really. The guys didn't really have the tools or the cardio to implement it, but Volkanovski sure as hell did. And his ability to close the distance for when he was striking like the head and the body, he's
good, man.
Very, very impressive. I guess we should have known better with kind of how well and how just the dominance in the fight against Aldo. But Max has been unbelievable, so it was still a bit of a shock to me. I had a bet on Max, but it was a close fight. Max was turning it up. I think if he, like you said, does a little better with not taking so many leg kicks, it could be a different fight. Max was definitely turning it up in the fourth and fifth. So exciting times at featherweight. That's for damn sure.
And props to Max. Like, Max is one of the most humble fighters that I've ever seen in the sport. And in a sport to where you almost got to be that egomaniac, cocky dude to even be at the highest levels. It's really refreshing to see somebody as humble as Max, and that literally takes it as how a lot of people want fighting to be looked at as an actual sport. I think Max really does look at it like that. He lost this time. He'll get better, come back next time, and congrats to his opponent. I can respect that a ton.
Yes, sir. And now for the fight that's kind of been beat to death and all the repercussions. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I was right about a couple things and very wrong about some other things in this fight. Luckily for me, it didn't matter in the end. I was able to get the bet win on this one, which I've had some pretty shitty luck lately, so I'll definitely take this one. Kamaru Usman, TKO, round number 5. Crazy. 4 minutes and 10 seconds into the 5th round. Beats Colby Covington, retains the welterweight championship, and breaks Covington's jaw in the process. Let's hear it, Wes.
I've I've gone on about this one a little bit, but you know,
then you can give me the bullet points.
first I'll just touch on kind of like the whole, you know, the community looking at it like, look, Kobe doesn't deserve shit from us. Kobe doesn't deserve a attaboy and, well, you performed good and you know, it was all worth it in the end. It wasn't worth it in the end. He made fucking $500,000, the same as, look, Kobe was gonna make $500,000 at this point regardless. He's good at fighting. He's fucking
Kamaru
good.
made $500,000.
Exactly. I mean, that's champ money. That's all Kobe was ever gonna get at this point. Like, Kobe's good. Kobe was gonna win fights and be fighting for titles. I don't believe the whole. That's beside the point. We don't owe Kobe shit to say, you know, good job and shit. This is what he wanted. He wanted that, maybe not to be this hated afterwards, and people could be like, oh well, you know, it was worth it in the end, and you know, props to him for using it. No, we don't owe him that. He went to the gutters because he thought it was going to make him a few more dollars, and it didn't in the end. Kobe's a good enough fighter to where this was where he was going to get eventually. Then he turns around and gets his jaw broken and smashed, and just kind of, I don't know. I've stomped on it so much, man. I think we've all talked about it. It just kind of irks me a little bit how people still react to Kobe after this and act like it got him some kind of fame and fortune that the guy's fighting and talent couldn't have got him on his own. And I still don't agree with that. Kobe's a shitbag. He's going to be a shitbag after this. Kobe's going to fight Usman again in the future. They're going to fight again. Kobe's too good not to fight for a title again. Props to Usman. I think Usman maybe will finally get some credit that we've been giving him, that he really deserves outside of this whole feud thing. The guy's good at fighting, man. He really is. And I hate to, you know, come back and give Kobe some props again, but that guy's good, man. Like he's a really good fighter. I really wish we could have stayed on talking about Kobe the fighter instead of Kobe the shitbag this entire time. But he is, and I was getting messages you know, last weekend, the day of the fight, still coming back to, oh, that's not him. That's just his shtick. Don't you watch the WWE and shit? I'm like, no, I don't watch the WWE. And, that's inside of him. You know what I'm saying? Like that, he might play that up and shit, but that will go down as one of my favorite wins, or one of my favorite fights to watch, and watch a guy that I think more so not Kobe getting his ass beat, but hopefully Usman getting the credit he deserves, because the dude's a good fighter.
Yeah, I'll play a tiny bit of a devil's advocate here. I guess the people will say, well, they were going to cut him.
I don't believe
so then
that.
he wouldn't have been able to, he would have been cut, and then he wouldn't have been able to fight in the UFC, and then he would never have been a champion. But like, there's a million ways that he could have went instead of going this way. And the hilarious part is, like, if the Colby of the last three fights, the actual fighting Colby, was the person that was fighting before, there's no way they would have cut him. He's not boring. Do you see him throwing all kinds of wild shit in there? Like, this guy was a boring fighter because he wasn't that good before.
Yeah,
he didn't have the striking game.
Yep.
He got way better. Way better. So that's that. And I guess we'll really see whether it's worth it after his next fight. Because it's then we'll know whether it's really worth it, whether they put him against somebody in butt fuck nowhere, or if they actually put him in a position to, sell a card.
Well, we already know though that the fame part of it wasn't, because none of his shit did any better than before. Like, he has the lowest rated ESPN card. I get it was on in the afternoon or whatever. It's fucking ESPN. He still has the low. It didn't negate to fucking or it didn't relate to better fame. It didn't give him bigger money in this spot. Like, it's not like his title fight paid him $1 million because all this shit he did, Yeah,
and I mean he didn't get enough leverage that he even got pay-per-view points. And I know like pay-per-view points are basically only given to champions and then a couple others. Masvidal was able to get pay-per-view points.
I read this week that you have to sell at least, I believe it's 200,000 pay-per-views for your points to kick in too. Was Kobe gonna sell a ton of pay-per-views? Was this like, I mean, there's just a lot of factors in that.
Yeah, but I mean, even so, like in his contract, even if he hit that, he wasn't going to get anything. Usman got pay-per-view points. I don't know how much he got out of it, but he was in his contract. He got pay-per-view points, whereas Colby didn't. And I mean, if you are this big guy that is a big deal, and that's kind of why he got stripped before / got pulled from fights, is because he wanted to use his leverage to get pay-per-view points.
And he had
because he was the one that he thought was carrying this card and gonna sell all this. Well, if that was truly the case and the UFC really believed that, maybe they'd give it to him. Now, I guess you can probably say, well, they probably did the same thing to Nate Diaz and shit like that, but I don't know. Like, we'll see. We'll see if it was worth it. Because
I'll make one comparison over the past 8 months to a year. Look at how Jorge Masvidal organically built just a massive following over the past year by just being Jorge Masvidal. You know what I'm saying? And look what Kobe built over the past year being Kobe, I guess, if y'all think it's real. Yeah, we'll see.
So I don't know. The funny part is, as long as supposedly Kobe wins anytime we talk about him, or if we say it wasn't worth it, basically he wins somehow.
I've gotten
that's what lots of people are saying.
I've seen that. Nobody is following my Twitter account. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not. Like, go ahead. I get
the only way that he wins is if he actually gets more money, and if he gets and it doesn't really seem like that's too much of the case. But I guess we'll see. He's a great fighter, and
that's what I wish we could talk about more is Kobe.
And it was an awesome fight. Myself, I had Usman up 3-1. I was obviously biased because I had Usman, but I thought the body work was doing a big damage. Usman's gas tank was still fucking full. All the people talking about he's gonna gas. He's got those big muscles, those big black muscles are gonna gas. and then Colby, he's got the unlimited gas tank. He's gonna throw 3,000 strikes. Well, not if somebody punches you back.
Yep.
So that was
that body work. Fucking that paid massive dividends for Usman in that fight. Those late picks of when he was hitting Kobe, there's like picks and shit. Like, he was not taking that shit well at all, man. Those body shots were hurting that dude late, and that was a good stoppage too. I know there's a lot of Kobe people out there that are like, oh, that was a bad stoppage and he was going to get the decision. That's the only reason why they stopped that. One, I don't think he was going to win the decision, me personally. And two, I think that was a good stoppage. I guess you could have let him take another 1 or 2, but he was turtling up, man, and he was hurt. I thought that was a good stoppage.
Yeah, I could go either way on the stoppage. That was some championship shit from Usman. He fucking comes out in the 5th round and puts it on Colby after a pretty hard 4 rounds. he
That
was
fight didn't
winning.
play out like I thought it was going to.
Definitely not.
They definitely it was a lot more action than I thought it was going to be. And
Yes.
I'm glad it was. I mean, it was a good fight.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting if it changes the next time, if Colby is more willing to try his wrestling, or if he's just like, fuck it, I can strike with this guy. I know some people called it there was going to be a stand-up fight. I thought that either of them would test to kind of put it on the guy, have a little bit of a win in there by being able to take the other guy down, but no, just a straight up kickboxing match, and two wrestlers that have pretty decent striking that have come a long way to have a decent kickboxing fight for the whole damn time.
That Kobe, like you said, that Kobe right there could have made it to a title shot without any of this. That fighter that showed up Saturday fighting like that with those improved hands and that volume and the fun wrestling that he has, he like dumps guys and shit. He's a fun fighter now, man. That guy would have been fighting for a title on his own. None of that shtick. He would have made a title fight.
Yep, but
it's too far gone now. Now he can't turn. He
well,
can't
and
turn
that's
back now.
That's the funny part. Like if he supposedly wins anytime we talk about him, then why is he going on fucking TV of the fight week saying it's basically pulling back the covers and showing everybody, it's all an act. It's not that big of a deal. Like, man, if that's your stick, why are you not going through it through and through instead of all of a sudden it got to him? Like,
that's
I
what
don't
Max know. Said. Max said fight week. There's that video. He's like, the only thing that I don't like is he didn't go full out. He's like, why are you telling us that, this is just a shtick and it's made up and shit? Like, he tried to hedge his bets. That doesn't work now. Like, he didn't think it through that, like, man, what if I do lose? Like, I can't be out there like MAGA Kobe anymore. I'm going to have to build my shit back up. It's too late now. That's who you are now.
Yeah, and now the welterweight division's a bit muddy. I don't know what Kamaru does next. I really feel like Masvidal's going to wait and see what happens in the McGregor fight. And then he's going to fight. He's going to try to angle for that McGregor fight.
He probably should. Like, I think money-wise, of course, but Usman is a bad out for Jorge, man. I hate to tell people that's a bad out. Love, our homeboy out there, but trust me, Leon Edwards is not beating Kamaru Usman.
I think that's going to be the next matchup. I don't think he's going to get close to winning, but I think that's the fight to make. I know they were trying to make Edwards versus Woodley, and Woodley's not signing it for one reason or another, so Edwards is kind of next up, and then maybe you make Colby versus Woodley finally. I mean, there's a storyline there. There's some bad blood.
There's some matchups. Yeah.
That I think those are the matchups, and then the winners fight each other. I don't think that's. I think that's a decent welterweight picture there, and then you can have Masvidal versus McGregor for baddest motherfucker.
Yeah, that Shaun call the UFC.
I'll let him know. I'll make some
we got
calls.
this figured out, bro.
Yeah, we just had to get on a podcast. We'll fucking figure it out for you. So that does it for UFC 245. Good card. All three title fights almost went to a decision, which was kind of interesting. That was a bit of a late fight card with what was going on there.
Kind of.
I mean, I'm out in the mountains, so it wasn't that bad. I think it was like 11:30. What time was it for you? 1 o'clock?
I mean, the fight card didn't end almost 2 a.m. East Coast. Like, I can't remember a fight card going that late. Like, really, the latest I can remember is maybe 1:30 or so.
Yeah, I think the last time there was 3 title fights, I'm pretty sure there was finishes, so it kind of helped out the pay-per-view there, but Yeah, I mean, at least it had a satisfying ending for you.
It was
Wes.
good. Hey, it was a good card. And I'm telling you, I would trust me. I wasn't bitching about the time. I stayed up till almost 4 a.m. ranting on a fuck on YouTube. Like, that card was worth it, man. That was a hell of a card. It lived up to what we thought it was going to be. I thought it was pretty good top to bottom.
Yes, sir. And now we're off to South Korea for the final UFC event of 2019. Fucking crazy. I don't know what number it is. I don't know, probably like 40.
117.
Well, no, but I forget what like how many events we've had this year. It's
117.
Feels that way.
Yep.
We might be rolling through some of these fights pretty quickly. Something called Alatang Hailey is taking on Ryan Benoit in the bantamweight division to start this fight card. I don't remember old Heidi or Hailey. Supposedly got a win in his first fight. It was only like 3 months ago. But he's taking on Ryan Benoit. I still remember when he flatlined Sergio Pettis. That was very nice, and he hasn't fought in over 2 years, though. Don't know what's going on there. You got anything here, Wes?
Nah, I mean, I can't remember. I didn't get to go back and look at much shit on a lot of this fight card. I can't remember Ali Tang's first fight. Man, 2-year layoff, or I would probably just take a little shot on Benoit here just by experience and quality of competition. But man, 2-year layoff, flying, halfway across the world. Benoit's going to be the pick here just on those factors, but I can't have my money anywhere near his fight.
No Tang for you, Wes.
We're not going to space, Shaun, just South Korea.
Yeah, I'll pick Benoit too. No clue. Moving to the women's strawweight division, probably my favorite division when it's other than the top 3 fighters. Something called Miranda Granger versus Amanda Lemos. These are UFC fighters, and Granger is undefeated, and Lemos only has 1 loss. Holy shit, we're in for a treat, Wes.
Yeah, I think one record might be a little bit better though than the other one. I remember the Granger fight against Goldie, and she smashed her up pretty good. I don't remember this Lemos chick getting beat up by Leslie Smith, but before then, I mean, she's just fighting a bunch of nobodies. There's some 0-0s on her. There's a couple fights on her record that literally her opponents don't have records. Yeah, you gotta like Granger here, I would think, but I can't lay 2-1 on Granger in any spot, so she'll be the pick, but no bet for me.
Yeah, not even betting goes to decision because Granger probably snaps up a sub. Pick is obviously Granger, and that will be enough of that fight. On to probably one of the better fights, top 5 fights on this card in the bantamweight division. Raoni Barcelos takes on Said Nurmagomedov.
Oh my god, I'm gonna laugh every time I hear it. Yeah, this is another one of those mind-blowing moments of UFC matchmaking where you're like, what the fuck are they doing putting this fight buried on the card? The next one we'll talk about, I kind of feel the same way. But yeah, this should be a fun fight. I think Saeed's just a little bit more well-rounded than Barcelos. It's a really close fight, and I'm leaning Saeed at this point. I just think he's a little bit better all around. I would have really liked to got him at dog money that he was most of the week. His line's gone down a lot. I'll probably still sprinkle on him. I think he can get a decision here, but man, I would have really liked to get the plus 140 or so he was in a fight that I think's probably a coin flip and one I lean him barely. I'll take Saeed by decision.
It's pretty wild to see a guy with the last name Nurmagomedov have a takedown accuracy of 9%, but I guess that's what happens when you go 1 for 11 against Justin Scoggins in your UFC debut. I think this is going to be I think he'll have a little more success against Barcelos. He looked really good in striking in his last fight. I had a small bet on Ricardo Ramos, and it was just a straight up standing fight, and he landed some spinning shit. It was good to see. He's a lot more well-rounded than I thought. Barcelos is pretty decent too. I think it's a pretty close fight. I was able to get Nurmagomedov at plus 137. I just took him for a unit. I think it's kind of a close to a coin flip fight. So take the dog odds. Likely goes to decision. So hopefully Nurmagomedov can put some stamps on rounds with wrestling if needed, and hopefully his striking is on point like it was in his last fight. Another shocker of a fight that should not be on the prelims in the flyweight division. One of Wes's favorites, Alexandre Pantoja takes on Matt Schnell.
Yeah, it's wild because, in Pantoja's very last fight against the guy that was just announced tonight that's going to be fighting for the title, it was the third fight on the card against Figueiredo. Like, these fucking people do not know what they're doing half the time.
Nope.
Yeah, I will say Schnell has looked, really, really good dropping down to 125, man. It kind of, changed his career background. I think he was just a smaller guy up at 135. I just think, Pantoja's good. I know he lost to Figueiredo, but like I just said, Figueiredo's fighting for a title. That guy's become an unbelievable fighter. And, the performance against Wilson Hayes, Brandon Moreno, the guy he's come back now, like, Pantoja's really good. And Schnell likes to get into some wild scrambles on the mat. I don't think Pantoja is heavy as Pantoja is on top. I'm not sure Schnell's going to be able to implement that kind of game plan here and win a fight against Pantoja. On the feet, Pantoja's just a little bit better striker. He's got more power. I would be on Pantoja quite a bit here if Chiclet Man wasn't on Pantoja. I would have liked the line to be a little under 2-1, around 170, 185 or so. 2-1's not bad, but man, Chiclets is scaring me off of Pantoja. I do think he wins, and I'll probably have a bet on him. I think this goes to decision too. So Pantoja by decision should probably be a decent price. I think that's the more likely outcome. So yeah, Pantoja for me, and Pantoja by decision.
Pantoja by decision is plus 155.
Not too bad.
Yeah, I lean Pantoja as well. Been impressed with Matt Schnell, what he was able to do against Luis Smolka and Jordan Espinoza. Just first round finishes, both triangle chokes. You don't see that too often with flyweights. He's able to get out of there. Pantoja's a pretty decent step up. Like you said, he was basically fighting for a title eliminator last time out. He's grown leaps and bounds with his hands, with his striking, and his jiu-jitsu is pretty damn good as well. So I think he'll edge this out. Matt Schnell is a pretty damn good motor, so Pantoja will have to make sure that his cardio's in tip-top shape. I'm not taking Pantoja. It's a little high for me. I just would rather take fight goes decision. I got it at minus 145. I just put a unit on that. I think Pantoja is good enough sub defense that he's not going to get subbed or knocked out by Matt Schnell, and Matt Schnell seems like a pretty tough dude to get out of there, especially at flyweight. So I'll take Pantoja by decision. Next up, we got the little Dong. Dong Hyun Ma takes on something called Omar Antonio Morales Ferrer. That is 4 names, and that's too many, Wes. So what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, Omar's not going to be able to bring the trench coat and the shotgun into this fight. Yeah, this fight should be just crazy shit for as long as it lasts, because the Dong is just a fucking madman and is usually in just crazy fights. A lot of times he seems to get finished in those fights. I did not go back and watch Omar Morales knock out some dude named Harvey on the Contender Series. I believe it was the last season of it was this season of the Contender Series.
Season 3, yeah.
From what I remember, he got a pretty good knockout against a guy that wasn't that great. I mean, I guess he's probably got the more power in this fight, but like I said, Dong is going to be putting the heat on him. The dude's crazy. He comes forward. He throws a lot of strikes. So, yeah, I mean, if you're laying minus 200 on Omar Morales here against a guy that's definitely going to bring the fight to him, more power to you. I'm going to probably pick Little Dong in Top Master because I need some points. There's no way I would bet on Omar Morales at minus 200 and pretty much his UFC debut halfway across the world.
Yeah, I think if you're going to play Morales, I think the safer play would probably play fight doesn't go to decision. It's minus 205. He's like minus 200 in that range. Like you said, I think this is going to be a wild ass fight. Both these guys do not go to decision very often. Morales has only gone to it once in his entire career, in his 8 career fights, and Little Dong's gone to 2 in his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 UFC fights. So he's in there to entertain, not to go to decisions. So I think that would be the play if you're gonna play it. Gotta love UFC bringing a 34-year-old Morales onto the Contender Series.
That's what most of this season was a bunch of 30-some-year-old dudes.
Fucking oxymoron right there. Yeah, I'll probably pick Little Dong for some Tout Master points, but I obviously would not be surprised if he gets flatlined by Omar. All right. Ooh, going down to the featherweight division. We got a Mook. We got Suman Mukhtarian taking on Seung Woo Choi. Wes, you gotta pick against the Mook. There's no way he's gonna win, right?
Hear me out. Look, I thought that the Mook. I don't want to say you can't really tell a lot off of what he did on the Ultimate Fighter and everything, but just impressions about watching him on there and shit. It seemed like he tried to be a better fighter and learn and get good, want to get good and want to be a better fighter. Then they threw him in there in his first UFC fight against fucking one of the best young fighters in the division, and that did not work out well at all. I guess the line's so high on Choi here, just maybe because of level of competition that he's faced in his first couple of UFC fights, because they've thrown him against 2 really good guys, plus in his hometown and everything. But man, I just think the Mook might be about the same level of fighter here in that, plus 250 or so. Not saying it's a bet for me by any means, but I'm definitely picking the Mook and Tout Master. I just don't think this line should be this high here. I think the Mook's a tiny bit better than what people think he is. So he's going to be a pick for me in Tout Master, but I couldn't make a case for putting any kind of money on him here.
I kind of agree with you. This is the
we
better.
Might have. Yeah, we might have to bet him.
This is the better Mukhtarian. This is not the trash can. So he's definitely the better of the brothers. And like you said, I think Choi is getting a pretty big inflation here just because of who he fought. And this happens a lot. Like it's hard to judge these guys when they throw them against pretty decent competition.
Yep.
But they get smashed by them, so you're like, well, how good is he? I mean, he looked good in the regional scene, but then he comes to the UFC, gets smashed by Evloev, smashed by Tucker. It's hard to say. So I kind of agree with you. I'm not going to put money on the Mukhtarian. I'll pick him in Toutmaster. Maybe if I'm bored. I mean, this is happening at fucking 2 in the morning.
I'll have $25 or something.
Yeah,
on you,
25, $50 on the Mook, and we'll see how it goes. But that is a bit of a crazy line considering what Choi has got beat up in the octagon so far. So I'll like I said, Toutmaster pick is the Mookie one. Now we're going up to the big boys. And there's a pretty decent prospect in this one. We got Cyril Gahn taking on Tanner Boser, the guy that bounces at the strip club that's 5 minutes away from my house. Or used to before it burnt down, actually. Sorry. Had to update that.
Yeah, me personally, I think Boser's gonna get touched up here. But saying that, man, it's really hard to lay minus 650 on a guy with 6 fights overall, just a couple in the UFC against some pretty terrible guys, and Tanner Boser's he's a tough Canadian, you know what I'm saying? Like it wouldn't completely shock me if he gets touched up and doesn't go out and kind of stays in the fight and makes something happen. That wouldn't shock me at all. So I'm definitely picking Gahn, but I can't lay minus 650 on him in this spot. I want to see another one. I do think he's good, and he's a really good prospect, but this is just a crazy line for somebody's second or third UFC fight.
Yeah, but it's heavyweights, so he could probably flatline this guy in 10 seconds and nobody would be shocked. But
I think that's what happens. But
it definitely obviously Gahn has the much brighter future. He's a very accomplished kickboxer. Has looked very, very good in the UFC so far. Which is, funny. He's got 2 subs in the UFC, even though he's been smashing these guys. So, you know how much I dislike the Canadian MMA scene. It's definitely overrated for the most part. But I had to sprinkle at plus 550. I had to sprinkle a half a unit. No chance I'm expecting it to cash. Gahn probably just flatlines this dude, but. Like you said, he is way more experienced. He trains with some okay guys. I think his game will be to lean on Gahn, get him tired, take him down, make him stand up, just make it gritty. And hopefully he can do that for me to give my bet a shot. The pick will be Gahn to knock him out fairly early, but let's cross our fingers for a greasy Canadian win right here. On to the main card. Got some bangers here. First up in the bantamweight division, Kung Ho Kang is taking on Lu Ping Wan. Is this so this is what, some Korean on Chinese violence that's happening here.
This is like chicken parm and rice is what this is here. My bad. Go ahead. Finish up.
No, it's all good. That's the intro. I'm waiting for you to break this down every which way. What do you got here, Wes?
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. For me, I think one guy is just obviously the way better technical fighter here, and that's Kang. I think that guy's just a far superior fighter skill wise. The best thing I think you could say about old Lou here is that he's tough, and that's not like great. He's stayed in some fights against some marginal UFC competition and won some close decisions. I don't think that's going to happen against Kang here. Kang has fought some pretty good guys in the UFC, and he's been in the UFC for quite a few years now. The dude's first fight was back on the Ben Henderson Pettis 2 card. I believe that was like 6 or 7 years ago. So Kang's got the experience.
It was actually before that. It was Silva versus Stan, 2013.
Shit.
He fought Alex Caceres.
This guy's been on here for a long time, ain't he? I didn't even realize that. He does seem to get thrown on a lot of cards over in Europe and stuff. So he's still fought some pretty good guys. Not anything spectacular, but I think he's just a real consistent guy, and he's got some pretty decent skills. You can't think much about the Chinese MMA scene too much yet. I know they got their first champ not long ago, but that's just a totally different world when it comes to when we're talking about the guys and everything. So yeah, I like Kang here. I would have liked to seen around 2-1. I don't think. I guess he's 250 now. That's not too bad. Take the guy that's more experienced and fought the better level of competition. Kang for me. Yeah,
I like Kang here. He goes for takedowns. He will fight a bit on the feet. I know he won a split against Davis last time. A lot of people thought Davis won that. It got a little hairy in the first round against Ishihara, the fight before that. I think his stand-up game is improving, but it's still not great. His bread and butter is the ground game. And I expect him to get it there and to be able to do some work against the old Pingwan. I was surprised that it was not minus 300, minus 350. I actually laid minus 250 for 2 units. I really like Kang here. Hopefully he doesn't make me regret laying all that juice, but I'll just take, like you, I'll take the guy that's been in there a lot longer against much better competition against this kind of unknown guy that hasn't looked great, even though he's won a couple fights in the UFC. Middleweight division, Yun Yong Park taking on the Frenchman, the French Canadian Marc-André Berriot. What do you got, Wes?
I don't know a lot about Park. Like I said, I didn't really get to go back and look at too much stuff on this fight card. Looks like he got trucked by Anthony Hernandez. I kind of remember that fight a little bit, thinking back on it. I know Marc-André's kind of gotten thrown into some kind of tough fights. His first couple go arounds in the UFC. I know the Jocko fight last time out. I believe he hung in there and lost a close split decision. Those guys are, I think, just way beyond what Park is. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, I haven't seen a lot of Park. But you gotta lean Marc-André in this spot. And I mean, the line seems a little low to me, man. Saying it, I don't know enough about Park. Maybe I'll go look at it a little more tomorrow. But man, Marc-André seems kind of low to me in this spot, and I'll probably sprinkle on the minus 125 here. I think he should get it done.
Park actually did decent against Anthony Hernandez. He was actually even money going into the second round live against him, and then he kind of threw it away. So yeah, it's a bit surprising, but like once again, this is one of those times where a guy fights pretty good competition, loses to them. How good is he? I mean, I guess he lost a split against Jotko, but that was a weird fight. And then I guess Park is fighting in his home country, so that's going to give him a boost. Berriot's going to be the bigger guy. Park's fought a bit lower weight at some points in his career. This is probably going to be a pretty boring ass fight, unless Park just goes blitzkrieg and makes it fun. So hopefully that happens. I'll pick Barrio, but usually when I pick Canadians, they lose. So fair warning to anybody putting money on Barrio. On to light heavyweight. The Unjung taking on Mike Rodriguez. Wes, I know you got something here.
I don't know. I'm probably a moron. Look, I don't think a ton of Mike Rodriguez. But man, this Jung cat was just getting his shit absolutely pieced up by the fucking Russian that literally has maybe. He's got a bad gas tank, but he might be one of the dumbest motherfuckers ever too. Like,
there it is.
I've never seen somebody literally go out and just throw everything they have within a first couple of minutes. But
negative fight IQ.
Yeah. Jung was like, he wasn't very good. He was getting his shit just pushed in, and how the fuck? What's his name now?
Abragamov?
Yeah, Abragamov. Abragamov just completely gassed out, man. Jung choked him. Didn't even really choke him. Just got him in like a front choke, and the dude was done, man. He didn't want no more. I think Mike Rodriguez can stay in this fight a little bit better than that, and I think Mike Rodriguez could win a decision here, man. I'm probably gonna put a little bet on Mike Rodriguez. I just, the line's low to me against a guy I just don't think is that good. Like I said, I don't think Mike Rodriguez is great or anything, but if he can't use his length here and kind of stay on the outside and fucking pick and pop on this shitty ass fucking Jung dude, he should probably be cut. So I'll take a small shot on Rodriguez. Would I be shocked if something happens and he gets choked out? Probably not. But it's going to be like 5 a.m, so I'm going to bet Mike Rodriguez.
There it is. I live bet Jung after the first round because I could see what was happening to Abragamov. I got like plus 450. I put like $50 on that. And he still almost kind of threw that fight away, and Abragamov was a walking fucking zombie in that fight. So I don't want any part of this fight. Who knows? Like, Jung is tough. I think that's his skill. He's tough. But I don't think Mike Rodriguez has negative fight IQ, so he's not just going to completely gas himself out. So my guess is Rodriguez, just not being an absolute idiot, should probably win a decision here, but not a chance. I want to bet it. But yeah, that'll be the pick and tote master.
Oh, what a card.
Oh, so good. Down to the featherweight division. The Superboy is back.
Trish, your boy's back.
Doo Ho Choi takes on one of the Jourdain brothers, Charles Jourdain. Wes, you got anything?
Yeah, it's good to see Choi back. He's been off for, I think, almost a couple years now. I guess he had an injury. I'm not really 100% positive.
Yeah, he injury, and then also he's not actually in the military right now, but he's signed up for it, and he's on like a waiting list, which is kind of fucked up. So him being on a waiting list, he can basically be put into the military at any point. So he's actually not allowed to leave Korea.
Damn.
So basically, he's just sitting on the shelf waiting for a Korea fight card.
Wow, that's horrible. Man, cost us 4 years of the Korean Zombie. Now you got Choi in limbo.
Yeah.
I will say a lot of morons in this country could use 4 years in some kind of fucking military.
The one plus side is, I mean, obviously he's still training. His brain has been able to recover after the Cub Swanson and Jeremy Stevens wars. So it's not the worst thing, but for a young fighter, a 28-year-old fighter, you kind of want him to be getting in there fairly often.
Yeah, that's the problems for me in this fight. I think Choi is just levels above Jourdain as far as skill goes, but man, 2 years off, coming off the time off probably is good, but still, just being out of the cage for 2 years. Those two losses were some pretty brutal fights. If Choi is halfway right, I think he rolls here, man. I know the Des Green fight was a lot different, and this fight's probably gonna take place more on the feet, which does give Jourdain, I think, a little bit better of a chance. I don't think he's the striker that Choi is, and yeah, I'm gonna pick Choi here, but man, I cannot lay 3-1 on him without seeing him one time in the cage, coming off a 2-year layoff and 2 losses like he took before that layoff. So Choi's the pick, but probably no bet for me.
Yeah, it's actually only been like what? Oh yeah, it's January 2018. So yeah, we're coming up on 2 years almost. So yeah, like you said, it's a pretty sketchy fight. A lot of unknowns, especially on the Choi side. Definitely not laying minus 300. Jourdain, like you said, I think we'll have a better chance at winning just because he's not going to get laid on by a good wrestler like he did with Des Green. But we've seen what Doo Ho Choi can do. But yeah, a lot of questions. No, you don't know if he's progressing. He got thrown to the wolves against Cub Swanson and Jeremy Stevens, and that was a pretty brutal one against Stevens. So it's hard to know how he's going to come back after that. Would not blame anybody for sprinkling on Jourdain, but not my thing unless I'm feeling frisky at 4 a.m. on fucking Saturday. So I'll pick Choi. No bet as of right now. On to the co-main event, light heavyweight matchup. The Volcan Ozdemir taking on Alexander Rakic.
Yeah, this is a pretty good one right here. It seems like as quick as people jumped on the Volcan train, they've all completely abandoned it. I've not really seen too many people picking Volcan in this fight. Actually, I've seen some pretty disparaging stuff about Volcan lately. Outside of the, you can take the Cormier fight out. The Anthony Smith loss, I think we kind of know what happened to Volcan in that fight. And props to Anthony Smith for taking advantage. Look, the guy that's fighting for the title next, and who a few people I see are saying is going to beat John Jones. He lost to Volcan. I don't care what the fuck y'all think. Volcan beat Dominic Reyes in that fight. I know it was a shit fight, and not much happened, but he did the little bit of shit that did happen in that fight. That loss almost reminds me of as bad as them giving Derek Lewis the decision over Haganu and their shitty ass fight. Look, I think Volcan is still really good, and I think after that Anthony Smith fight, he really shored some things up. He got a better understanding of how he needs to fight these fights at the top of the division. And look, I like Rakic, man. I think the guy's a pretty good fighter. I think if you can get in on him though and rough him up and body him up, I don't know what he's gonna do there. If you're gonna let that guy kind of fight at his range and fight it at his pace, he's really good and he's a problem. I don't see Volcan doing that. I'm still a big Volcan fan. I think the guy's really good, and like I said, I think he got really exposed after that Anthony Smith fight, and he was a guy that shored that stuff up. And man, in a fight that I do think is close and against two really good light heavyweights, which is good to see nowadays. We got some bodies in the light heavyweight division. I'm gonna take the dog money on Volcan here. I think he's being overlooked, man. I don't understand why why people jumped off that train so fast. I think he was rushed into a title shot against, for me personally, one of the greatest fighters that's ever lived. So yeah, Volkan for me here at some dog money in a close fight. Like I said, I wouldn't be shocked to see Rakic connect with something and maybe get Volkan out of there, but I think Volkan can body Rakic up a little bit and win this fight.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you here. I think Volkan is the side here. A lot more unknowns when it comes to the Rakic side. There hasn't been much resistance put up against him. Jimmy Manoa just gets flatlined.
Yep.
He did get clipped a bit in the Devin Clark fight, but obviously was able to just take over and smash him a couple minutes later. Volkan's a tough dude, and he's going to be a tough out. Nobody's really kind of put him out there clean standing. It's been more of a war of attrition. Cormier put him out after he just kind of ground and pounded him. I think this is going to be a tough test for Rakic. I think Ozdemir is going to be able to grind on him, wear him out, tire him out. And then we're going to see what he has after that. And
Can he go deep?
Can he go deep? I mean,
we know Volkan can.
Yeah, he's been to a couple decisions, but he's been in control of those fights. We're gonna see if there's some resistance there and how his cardio and all that other stuff holds up. And at plus money, I gotta take a shot to find out. I've never been the biggest Volkan fan. I've lost some money betting against him, but I think this is a decent matchup for him and against a bit of an untested guy. So I took a shot on him for 1.5 units at plus 125. I also threw half a unit on Ozdemir by decision at plus 415. Ozdemir's been a little more contained in his last couple fights. I mean, he did get Latifi out of there, but some of his other fights, he wasn't going crazy like he did on that crazy streak. So I think he might have a bit of a shot at getting a decision here. So I think we're gonna find out if Rakic is ready to be in almost a title eliminator after this fight. So it'll be a fun one. On to the main event. Last second change up here. Frankie Edgar taking on the Korean Zombie in a featherweight fight. And Frankie Edgar's still scheduled to fight Corey Sandhagen at bantamweight in a month. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. What do you got here, Wes?
Yes, this is a fun fight. We
were supposed to watch this fight. This was the Denver main event before Frankie pulled out.
Yeah. Then we got
fucking Yair.
Yeah. And on that note, I think though Korean Zombie is looked absolutely fantastic, man. Since he's came back. The Yair loss is what it is. We were there. He was absolutely trucking Yair in that fight. He got caught. One of the latest walk-offs that I think maybe ever that's happened. So I mean, it's fighting, that shit happens, but we know how that fight was going up until that point. He was trucking Yair and looked absolutely fantastic. The Makano win just kind of cemented where the Korean Zombie is at right now. That guy's really fucking good, man. He's become an outstanding fighter. He's very well rounded. He wants to usually keep this on the feet and throw, man, and he's got some great takedown defense to keep it there. And I think that's going to be a problem for Frankie here, man. I'm not sure Frankie's going to be able to consistently get the Zombie down enough to win what will probably more than likely go to a decision. If it was Frankie, dictating the fight, I could see Zombie getting a later round finish here. I think he's just going to put it on Frankie on the feet, man. Frankie's getting a little bit older. trying to drop weight now. Been in some pretty brutal fights as of late. The Max fight, he took a whole lot of stuff in that Max fight, and I think that was only about 4 or 5 months ago. So not jumping back in too quick, but still, Frankie's fought a lot over the past couple years, man. I just think at this point, the younger, fresher guy, and a guy that I think has improved a ton over the past 4 years or so, man. The Korean Zombie's really damn good, man. I'm not even sure Frankie in his, 10 years ago, this would be probably a close fight at 145. So, I like Zombie here. I think he got a little bit on him at minus 160. I'm just playing him straight, man. I think he gets Frankie out of there in the later rounds, 4th or 5th.
I forgot to mention that Ozdemir is our consensus bet of the week. You and I agree that he's got a decent shot here. You can get him at around plus 125 or better at quite a few books. So we'll be locking that in for a unit.
I think we like one guy a little bit more, but he's a little juicy.
Yeah. As for the main event, I agree with you, Wes. Bit of a weird fight with Frankie taking this last second. Well, not last second, but late notice. And also he was supposed to be fighting at a different weight class. So it's a weird fight. One that I wish we would have saw in Denver.
Yeah.
But the Korean Zombie's striking is very, very good. That knockout of Moicano was filthy. Moicano literally landed 0 significant strikes against Korean Zombie. And like you said, he was doing very, very well against Yair. Zombie's got a pretty good guard. So if Frankie does take him down, I think he can kind of hold on and get back to his feet to where he wants this fight to take place. I'm really just waiting to see Frankie Edgar's chin fall apart. It was crazy because
coming, right?
He was at lightweight and getting dropped a bunch of times. Ortega was able to put him out. That was a year and a bit ago, almost 2 years ago, I guess. But Zombie's got power, and his striking combinations are very, very nice. So I think he can keep this on the feet enough and be able to outpoint Frankie and land the bigger strikes. He's got I believe he has a 4-inch reach advantage, and he's only an inch or so taller than Frankie. I think he can do it. Unfortunately, the Chiclet Man is also on the Korean Zombie, so that's a bit unfortunate for us, but I locked in my bet before I heard about that. I took Korean Zombie at minus 158 for a unit. Nothing huge for me, but I do like this matchup and just kind of the weird things. And of course, the UFC wants Frankie to fight twice in a month's time, and we know how the UFC doesn't usually get what it gets what it wants. So I have a feeling that one way or another, even if Korean Zombie doesn't win, that Frankie's not fighting. So I like Korean Zombie, possibly late stoppage, and it's. I think it's gonna be a fun fight because Frankie's active and so is Korean Zombie.
Definitely, yeah. It should definitely be. Frankie always comes to fight, man. That guy's he's you can't say it about a ton active guys, but Frankie's a legend, man. That guy's been around a long time. He's put on some incredible fights. There's no doubt about that.
Yes, sir. And I guess that will do it for us. We got a bit of a break here now. I think about 3 weeks off until the McGregor Cowboy card will give us plenty of time to get next year's Tout Master and possibly Gamble Master all set up and ready to take entries. I'm other than that, anything else that you can think of, Wes?
No, like I said, we'll sometime after the first of the year, we'll start trying to set Toutmaster up for the year. Think everything's still going to run the same. Might have somebody else doing the money and everything, because I think Jay's got a lot of stuff going on with work, so that might change, but it'll still be one of us same guys.
Yeah, we'll all be tweeting it out and tweeting it out of the analysis count. So
yeah, and
we'll get that going.
Then our year-end show will be coming up. We also, if anybody's interested, we tweeted out from the analysis account a bowl pick'em for the bowl season, $25.
College football, yep.
Yeah, so if anybody's interested in that, the details are on the analysis Twitter account. I think the games start tomorrow evening or something. So
Jesus.
try to jump on there if you want to jump in that. The people that played it every year, we do it every year. So yeah, and then we'll have the year-end show, all our great, fabulous predictions. Get to go back.
We'll probably pump that out either the first or second week of January, and we can laugh at how horribly wrong we were at picking who the champs were and all the other things that we picked last year. That's always a fun show.
I know one I got right.
Oh shit!
I know one I definitely got right. The old Usman. I know I had that one right.
Yep. Well, one out of the 10, 12. It's not bad. Yeah. But yeah, that'll do it. Another fun year of UFC. It's a bit of a journey, that's for damn sure. But
been a grind this year.
Yeah, a bit of a grind, and I guess we'll see how the 2020 treats the UFC next year. Enjoy the fights, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.